A woman has sparked a controversy after posting a picture on social media showing her breastfeeding a friend's toddler son, but the boy's mother says she has nothing but gratitude for the wet nurse. Jessica Ann Coletti, from Pennsylvania, shared the photo, which shows her feeding both her own 16-month-old son, Lucian, and her friend Charlie Interanti's 18-month-old son, Matteo, on a pro-breastfeeding page. The picture of Mrs. Coletti, 26, and the two boys, who she dubs milk siblings, has divided users on Facebook. Happy World Breastfeeding Week. Mrs. Coletti wrote, "I watch her son while she works and have been feeding them both for a year. So much love between these milk siblings, it's a special bond between us all. She's the best mom I've ever known. I don't trust many people with my son." Charlie Interanti. Mrs. Coletti has been breastfeeding young Matteo since he was just 5 months, after he struggled with formula, and says her friend, Ms. Interanti, was very much on board with the idea. "She was breastfeeding but didn't have time to pump. I was already breastfeeding my son and it just made sense to nourish him in the same way," Mrs. Coletti told Daily Mail Australia. He was having issues with the formula his previous sitter had given him and his issues resolved when formula was no longer necessary. Mrs. Coletti says her friend is 100% happy with it. "My friend and her son live with me and my husband. She knows everything about me and trusts me with the care of her child," Mrs. Coletti said. "She knows I want nothing but the best for our boys, which is why she supports me breastfeeding our babies." Coletti and Interanti first met about 10 months ago at a photo session for new moms. Then last month, the 25-year-old hairstylist and single mother moved in with Coletti and her husband, Ben. Interanti says they are now one family unit living together in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Speaking to the New York Daily News Tuesday, Ms. Interanti said her friend was aware that she had been struggling with breastfeeding, and she was appreciative of Coletti's help. "One big happy family," Coletti and Interanti, pictured left, met about 10 months ago. In July, the single mom moved in with Coletti and her husband and son while she was still able to nurse. Interanti would breastfeed both her son and Coletti's boy when she got home from work. "She's the best mom I've ever known," Interanti said of her friend and roommate. "I don't trust many people with my son." Coletti said Lucian and Matteo are now brothers because they have grown up and nursed together, and the arrangement works well for everyone involved. Addressing the negative comments sparked by her photo wet nursing the two boys, Coletti said her critics are misinformed and wrongly sexualize the natural and beautiful act of nursing. The original post, which has since been liked more than 700 times, received a mix of positive and less supportive responses from users. "I wish that I could like this a million times." One user wrote, "Wet nurses saved many lives years ago," another said. Others were less impressed. "I'm sure she, the friend, is definitely not okay with it," one person wrote. "Sorry but that's strange," another commented. Mrs. Coletti says the criticism doesn't come as a surprise. "I'm glad to get so much support from breastfeeding advocates and am not surprised by critics. A lot of people are misinformed about breastfeeding relationships," Mrs. Coletti said. "The sexualization of breasts and the belief that breast milk is gross because it is a bodily fluid has been ingrained in us through society, media and lack of breastfeeding in our daily life." Mrs. Coletti has since considered removing the post altogether due to the negative feedback and other users hassling her.